There's a way to get your car 90% dry before a towel ever touches it, and almost nobody knows about it. That technique alone prevents the majority of swirl marks people create every single wash, and it costs absolutely nothing. But here's the problem. Your car's clear coat is thinner than a Post-it note, just 35 to 50 microns standing between your paint and permanent damage. A single paint correction can run you hundreds of dollars. And that secret drying method only works if every step before it is done right. Every time you wash your car, you are wearing away the only thing protecting your paint, a clear coat that is shockingly thin. Modern automotive clear coat measures just 35 to 50 microns. That is less than half the thickness of a single Post-it note, which averages about 75 microns. It is thinner than a sheet of printer paper, and it is getting thinner. 20 years ago, clear coats were about 20% thicker. But after the Environmental Protection Agency forced automakers to switch from solvent-based to waterborne paints in the early 2000s, manufacturers started laying down less material. The result is a finish that is more environmentally friendly, but also far more delicate. On most cars built after 2004, you are lucky to have even 40 microns of clear coat left on the panels. That is about the thickness of a human hair, and it is all that stands between your paint and permanent damage. Once that layer is gone, there is no going back. The only fix is a full repaint, and that means thousands of dollars, even for a single panel. What most car owners do not realize is that every careless wash, every swipe with a dirty towel, every shortcut with the wrong soap brings you closer to that point of no return. Swirl marks and marring are not just cosmetic, they are evidence that you have physically ground away part of your car's protection. And with clear coat this thin, there is no margin for error. The financial logic is brutal. A safe wash kit, 2 buckets, grit guards, proper microfiber mitts and towels costs about $50. Compare that to a single round of professional paint correction, which starts at $300 and can easily run up to $2,500 for a full job on a mid-size sedan. And even then, correction works by removing more clear coat, making the finish even thinner for next time. Paint condition is not just about looks, it hits you in the wallet when it is time to sell or trade. Auction data shows that poor paint can knock 5 to 25% off a car's resale value. On a $20,000 car, that is a loss of $1,000 to $5,000 just because the finish was neglected. That is real loss. So the stakes are real. Every wash is a choice: preserve the clear coat you have or wear it away for good. The right tools and techniques are not just for show cars, they are the cheapest insurance you will ever buy for your daily driver. The most expensive mistakes in car washing do not come from neglect, they come from effort in the wrong direction. Every time a wheel brush touches your paint, you wash under direct sunlight, or you grab a bottle of dish soap from the kitchen. You are setting up a chain reaction that grinds grit into the clear coat and leaves permanent scars. The real threat is not laziness. It is the belief that any soap, any towel, any bucket will do. Start with the wheels. Brake dust is iron, sharp, abrasive, and loaded with microscopic particles that dig into the clear coat like sandpaper. If you use the same mitt or bucket for wheels and paint, you are dragging those metal shards straight onto your panels. Professionals always use separate buckets, brushes, and towels for wheels, and they never cross-contaminate. One pass with a dirty mitt can undo years of careful washing. Sunlight is another silent enemy. On a warm day, a dark car's surface can reach 140 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Wash soap and rinse water can flash dry instantly, leaving behind water spots and mineral stains that etch into the finish. Always wash in the shade, early in the morning or late in the afternoon, and keep the panels cool to the touch. If you cannot hold your hand on the paint for 5 seconds, it is too hot to wash safely. Soap choice matters more than most people realize. Household detergents like dish soap or laundry powder are engineered to strip grease and break down organic residue. They will also strip wax, dry out rubber seals, and attack the polymers that keep your paint glossy. Car wash soaps use a different kind of chemistry, zwitterionic surfactants, for example, which sound technical but just mean the soap can lift dirt while staying gentle on wax and sealants. Look for a pH-balanced formula made for automotive finishes. A $10 bottle of proper car soap can save you hundreds in paint correction down the line. Then there's the wash media. Never use a sponge. Sponges trap grit on the surface, so every pass grinds debris deeper into the clear coat. Instead, use a microfiber mitt or a genuine lamb's wool mitt. The fibers lift and encapsulate dirt, carrying it away from the paint until you rinse it out. It is a simple swap that cuts down on swirl marks by as much as 80%, according to detailing experts. Every shortcut, mixing wheel and paint tools, working in the sun, using the wrong soap, or grabbing a sponge, turns a routine wash into a scratch-making process. The damage is slow, but relentless. The solution is not more effort. It is the right process every single time. Before a wash mitt ever touches your paint, professionals insist on one step: foam pre-wash. This is not just for show. The real work happens before any contact, because every bit of grit you leave behind is a scratch waiting to happen. A quality foam cannon or pump sprayer lays down a thick layer of suds engineered with surfactants that break the bond between dirt and clear coat. Let the foam dwell for 3 to 5 minutes, long enough for the chemistry to do its job, but not so long that it dries out. During this time, the foam softens and lifts loose particles, even the invisible ones that grind into paint during a hand wash. When you rinse, you are not just washing away soap bubbles, you are removing up to 70% of the loose grime before you touch the car. That means less dirt for your mitt to pick up and far fewer chances for marring. The difference is visible on the rinse water. What starts as a white blanket runs off brown and cloudy, proof that the foam is carrying away what would otherwise become swirl marks. This step is not about expensive gadgets or Instagram drama. It is about physics and chemistry, using dwell time and surfactant action to loosen contamination before it can do damage. Skip the foam, and you are grinding sand into a finish thinner than a human hair. Use it, and you are already ahead of 99% of car owners. Every safe wash starts with removing as much dirt as possible before contact. That is the foundation of paint preservation. A single bucket of soapy water is a trap. Every time you dip your mitt, you are swirling grit from the last panel right back onto the paint. That is how scratches happen, even if you are careful. The 2-bucket method breaks this cycle. 1 bucket holds your clean wash solution. The second, filled with plain water, is only for rinsing out your mitt after every pass. The difference is real. The rinse bucket turns cloudy and grimy, while the wash bucket stays almost pristine. That is proof you are not grinding old dirt into the clear coat with every swipe. But there is another layer of protection most people skip. At the bottom of each bucket sits a grit guard, a plastic insert with a patented 4-quadrant design, invented by Doug Lamb in 2002. For about $5 to $10 each, these inserts trap the dirt you rinse out, pinning it below a grid so your mitt cannot pick it up again. It is simple physics. Dirt settles, the guard keeps it there, and your mitt stays clean. Professional detailers swear by it because it works. Industry tests and years of hands-on experience show that using grit guards with a 2-bucket system can cut down paint marring by up to 80% compared to a single bucket wash. That is not marketing hype. It is the difference between a finish that stays glossy for years and one that needs expensive correction after a single summer. Forget the latest miracle soap or high-tech mitt. Separating rinse water from wash solution and using grit guards matters more than any fancy product on the shelf. Every clean bucket you finish with is proof you are keeping grit off your paint and money in your pocket. Even after the safest wash, your paint isn't clean, not in the way professionals mean it. What's left behind are invisible enemies, iron particles from brake dust, rail dust, and industrial fallout. These tiny shards embed themselves in the clear coat, oxidizing and rusting below the surface. They do not just sit there, they bond chemically, eating into the finish and making future scratches almost inevitable. Iron removers were built for this job. The chemistry sounds like science fiction, but it is simple. Products like CarPro Iron X, the first of its kind in 2011, use thioglycolic acid to hunt down iron contamination. When the acid meets embedded iron, it reacts instantly, converting the contamination into ferric thioglycolate. That is the purple bleeding you see running down the panel. It is not a dye or a gimmick. It is proof the remover is dissolving real iron, pulling it out of your paint before it can cause permanent damage. Let it dwell for a few minutes, watch the chemical show, then rinse thoroughly. What is left is a surface free from the most stubborn, invisible grit. But iron is not the only thing clinging to your paint. Even after a foam pre-wash, a 2-bucket wash, and iron decontamination, bonded contaminants like tar, sap, and industrial fallout remain stuck to the surface. That is where clay barring comes in. The process traces back to Tadao Kodate in 1987, and it is still the gold standard for removing what soap and chemicals cannot touch. A lubricated clay bar glides over the paint, grabbing onto these stubborn particles and lifting them away. The difference is not just visible, it is tactile. To feel it for yourself, try the plastic bag test. Slip your hand inside a thin sandwich bag and gently run it over the paint. On a contaminated panel, you will feel bumps and grit that bare skin cannot detect. After claying, the surface feels like glass, utterly smooth, with nothing left to scratch or mar the next time you wash. That is the level of clean professionals demand before any wax, sealant, or ceramic goes on. Anything less, and you are just sealing in the problem. Most car owners reach for a towel the moment rinsing is done, not realizing that the final step is often the riskiest. Every swipe, even with the softest microfiber, can grind leftover grit into the clear coat and leave behind the very swirl marks you are trying to avoid. But there is a professional trick that changes everything, and it costs nothing. Take the nozzle off your hose. That is it. Instead of blasting the car with high-pressure spray, let a steady stream of low-pressure water flow directly from the open end. Start at the top and gently sweep the water across each panel. What happens next is pure surface science. Rather than breaking into thousands of droplets, the water forms a continuous sheet. As it moves, it drags nearly all the standing water with it, pulling beads and streaks cleanly off the paint. On a well-maintained surface, this single step leaves your car about 80 to 90% dry before you ever touch it with a towel. No fancy gadgets, no expensive blowers, just physics and patience. The difference is clear: fewer water spots, far less towel work, and dramatically less risk of scratching. Professional detailers rely on this method for one simple reason. Every minute you spend sheeting water off your car is a minute you are not risking swirl marks or marring. It is the safest, most efficient way to get your car dry, and it is hiding in plain sight. If you care about your paint, the nozzle-off sheeting rinse is not optional. It is your first line of defense. Even after you've sheeted most of the water off your car, the final step can make or break your finish. Any towel, no matter how soft, can grind leftover grit into the clear coat if you go in dry. This is where lubrication isn't optional. It's essential. Detailing professionals like Larry Casilla have one rule: never touch your paint without a lubricant. That means using a spray wax or a dedicated drying aid every single time. These products do double duty. They add a slick layer that lets your towel glide safely. And they leave behind real protection in the form of synthetic polymers or carnauba, which boost gloss and shield the surface. Every swipe becomes safer, and every wash extends the life of your clear coat instead of wearing it down. But there is still one enemy left: water spots. Tap water is loaded with minerals such as calcium, magnesium, and iron, ranging from 50 to over 500 parts per million, depending on where you live. When those minerals dry on your paint, they leave behind spots that can etch into the finish. The fix is pure chemistry. A final rinse with distilled water, which measures just 0 to 10 parts per million, leaves nothing behind to stain or etch. You do not need a fancy filtration system. A gallon of distilled water at Walmart costs about 85 cents. 1 or 2 gallons poured slowly over each panel is enough for a spot-free finish. For less than $1, you eliminate the single biggest cause of water spotting. No polishing, no correction, just prevention. There is a way to wash your car that uses almost no water, leaves nearly nothing behind to scratch the paint, and does not require a hose or a driveway. Professional detailers call it rinseless washing, and it is built around a product called Optimum No Rinse, ONR for short. ONR is not just soap. Dr. David Godussi, a polymer chemist with a doctorate, engineered it to encapsulate dirt and suspend it safely away from your paint. Since its launch in 2006, ONR has claimed to save more than 1 billion gallons of water worldwide, a number that is hard to ignore if you care about waste or live where water is scarce. But the real breakthrough is not the chemistry, it is the process. The Gary Dean method takes rinseless washing to its logical extreme. You soak a stack of clean microfiber towels in an ONR solution, and each towel gets one shot at the paint. No double dipping, no cross-contamination. Wipe a panel, flip to a fresh side, and when both sides are used, the towel goes straight into the dirty pile. Every towel touches clean paint exactly once. That means the dirt you pick up from one section never gets dragged across another. It is the closest you can get to a zero-risk wash without a full detail bay. This method is not just safer, it is faster and more efficient than the old bucket routine. There is no rinse stage, no standing puddles, and no wasted water. In drought-prone areas or apartment parking lots, rinseless washing is the only way to keep your car clean without breaking the rules or risking your finish. And because ONR's polymers leave behind a slick, anti-static layer, you get a glossy, protected surface every time, with no residue and no need for a hose. With a stack of microfiber towels, a couple of gallons of water, and the right process, you now have a complete paint preservation system, one that is smarter, cleaner, and proven to save both water and your clear coat. Every time you drag a towel across your paint, you gamble with a clear coat thinner than a Post-it note, just 35 to 70 microns. Yet a $5 wash mitt and a hose can save you hundreds of dollars in correction costs and thousands of dollars in resale value. Today, damage is a choice, not a mystery. Protect your investment. Your car only gets one factory finish. Share your results or questions in the comments below.